And by the way, we just yesterday we had a very good workshop with a representative from Ukraine and Georgia, which are here in this meeting room. And we are also going to continue after this conference. What we are doing, we are doing is that we are trying to assist all these partners from Western Balkans and observer participants in order to be integrated in a European common market, but also to improve the standards and the requirements, starting with the legislation, also for infrastructure, in order to be in line, to be ready to be part of the EU membership. One of the things that was mentioned before is that what we are doing, we are also monitoring the TEN-T requirements in the Western Balkans, the TEN-T requirements extension. That means that it was mentioned from our colleague about the nodes, which is we are also monitoring the nodes. And in Western Balkans, but what we are doing, we are mainly focused on all different aspects of the transport, including the waterborne transport, which is there. What we are mainly focused is that in Western Balkans, we do have a very good inland waterway network, which is part of the Rhine-Danube corridor, and this is provided from three rivers, huge rivers, the Danube River, the Sava River, and also Tisa River. We also have, we are monitoring also 8 ports. 5 of them are part of the core TEN-T network extension, and 3 of them are part of the comprehensive network. I would like to mention just, I'm sure that probably most of you, they know that KPIs that according to the new regulation of the TEN-T network is providing for the inland waterway network, but I would mainly be focused on the last one, which is the monitoring of river information services for all service in all this inland waterway network. The current situation, according to our latest study that we did in 2025, here is that we see that in TEN-T network extension we do have very good river information system services in Danube River. In Sava River we have very good river information services in Republic of Serbia, which are very good on the technology, but we are just missing some data from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And from Tisa River, Republic of Serbia is working very much now, and soon we are going to have a full coverage for river information system. When we come to these inland waterway ports, our KPIs that goes from the connectivity, the multimodal terminal, the facilities to improve environment, and the alternative full infrastructure. What is missing in the TEN-T regulation is that the digitalization of port. However, we have other tools that we are monitoring, and also we are trying to assist the inland waterway ports in order to achieve and to improve standards on digitalization. And the last one is also you see now this, where is the current situation on inland waterway ports? They do have all the requirements except this alternative full service and environmental performance, which is a new KPI that was it was done with a revision of the new TEN-T network. When we come to the seaports, that are, all these are KPIs that are part of the regulation, but we are mainly focused, but in this presentation I will be mainly focused on VTMIS and the Maritime National Single Window, which we are performing very good for all the seaports. We have 3 seaports in the region, in Western Balkans. 2 of them are in Albania, and 1 of them is in Montenegro. We see that all of the ports, they are fully in line with connectivity, but they are working very intensively to be fully covered with the vessel traffic monitoring information system, but also in the Maritime National Single Window. We have identified for 2025 22 projects with funds already of 2.2 billion euros, which are projects that are already going, but also they plan to start soon. So 12 of them are in inland waterways, 7 in inland waterway ports, and 3 of them big projects in the maritime ports. out of this, only 3 projects are fully related with the digitalization. Then also, what else we are doing on digitalization is that in order to cover everything on digitalization, it's not covered from the TEN-T network, TEN-T regulation. We have already drafted action plans with all partners in order to be more closer with the needs of our partners from Western Balkan, with the needs, and also to support them very closely on the specific needs that they need. And out of this, we have drafted this the next generation action plan for the waterborne transport and multimodality. This plan consists of 4 pillars, 4 main pillars, and you see the first pillar, which is one of the most important, is that also is the pillar for promoting green and smart waterborne transport. Out of this pillar, there are several actions that are fully and directly related with the promoting green and smart waterborne transport. It's like it is like the upgrade of digital system in ports, which means that all the ports, they should have VTS or they should have port community systems, which is very important to improve their interoperability with the ports. But also the reporting for formalities, so the ships, they don't have to wait to deliver all the documents in paper format, but also they can deliver them in electronic format. So they save time and also save time for not to spend a lot of time also for delivering and waiting this procedure. What is more important is also the air freight. The air freight, in order to be more efficient in multimodal transport, we are also assisting and pushing all our partners in order to establish the air freight and electronic documents for freight for multimodality. And what is one also important is that now we probably most of you, they have faced a lot of problems with the cyber attacks. At least in Western Balkan, we had a lot of cases where we had a massive cyber attack which blocked almost all the servers in the governments and the ministries and everything. So for many days they have to stop operating. So in order to prevent not having this kind of attacks further, we are also working on enforcing the cybersecurity in ports. The activities, we only for 2025 we have organized a lot of activities. I can mention that we organized a summit in Seville on May on digital and mobility and IT conference. It was a very high-level representative from the ministries and all high-level institutions and agencies that are dealing with digitalization. And what we are planning for next year, in 2026, we are going to plan to organize a workshop with Western Balkan representatives, but also several participants on waterborne cybersecurity. We are still working on that. In conclusion, yes, for sure, the digitalization is accelerating integration of Western Balkan, but not only on the network. The digitalization in ports, but also in inland waterway, it's very important to have this river information services, vessel traffic monitoring information system, and the maritime measure single and port community system is always improving the safety of navigation and efficiency and reliability. Digital solution, they strengthen multimodality. And the last one is that investments, which is very important. So the partners, they should think that they need to increase the investment on digitalization. We know that there is a long way to go from the current situation to the digital twin, as our colleague Sasha mentioned, but also they have to start to build a very trustable system so they can be improved very fast in the future. So yes, this was my presentation. I tried to be as fast as possible, because I was asked to squeeze my presentation. So if I was speaking very faster, so please apologize. So yeah. So if there is any question from your side, I'll be more than happy to. I know that Jasper is saying that please no question. Okay, no, okay. Thank you very much.
Maybe we can have a few questions from the audience on the final panel discussion that we will have today, and then also coming back on the perspective of the Western Balkan, as the Western Balkans are actually very well captured in this final panel. So then indeed, I would like to introduce the final panel discussion of today, and for that I'd like to introduce Robert Raphael, pro-Danube, and Robert Raphael, he will introduce you the other panelists which are joining you today on this final panel discussion. So I hope you enjoy it. Robert, stage is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor for me to be here again. It's a big journey. Many of you have mentioned the journeys in the past 2 days. It's also a journey for me because in this project we had the first main event, I think, the Danube Ports Days, after all of them having had online during COVID here in the very same room. Now Pro-Danube management is not my primary job anymore. Colleagues of mine at Frequentis, where I'm also digitally project managing digital projects, they said they must have liked you if you were called back after 10 months to moderate a session. So it's a great honor for me and a nice gesture. Thank you very much for having me here as a moderator for a great session on digitalization, which is great because we have 3 panelists with us, having Ksenia Hajdukovic from the Port Governance Agency from Serbia. We have Mr. Tomasos Panevello from the Haropa Ports from France. Thank you for coming. And we also have Dr. Vladislav Marash from the University of Belgrade. Until he makes it to the stage, I think it's a very nice and proper selection of panelists, because we have public partners in the panel, we have science, research, university, and we also have practice. So I think it's a great coverage of the fields, and it's also a great coverage of the geographical areas of Europe. So thank you very much, Sasha, for putting this panel together. For me, it's also a great honor that in the past years I was the one drafting such programs and having the headaches of the panelists, and now I have a script which is just need to read through. So the script says that I should sit down and take the microphones. And introduce this panel session, which goes around 2 topics, or 2 themes. One is that digitalization as such is good, we need it, but we also need to look at it as an enabler. So you can be a port fully digitized with 1,000 tons of cargo, and you can be an analog port with hundreds of thousands of tons of cargo. And we will try to look at the scales on the practicalities, what can happen and what should happen when a port is digital, and how digital measures can be measured, actually. So my first question, or the concept, is that as time allows, we have prepared quite some questions. I will address those questions to all of you, all questions to all of you. Let's see how we make it in time, and hopefully, as Jasper mentioned, we will have some time for questions from the audience. So we said that we need to be digital, but on the other hand, we say we are already very digital. This was one of the challenges what we had in the project when defining the work program and the tasks. So we are managing our smart homes and cars and families with our smartwatches. So per individual, we are quite digital, but how is this in ports? So the first question to all of you actually is that we need to be aware, and the port stakeholders need to be aware of digitalization, but how aware is the industry of digitalization and the fact that it does not need to be for itself, it has to be for the end users? So maybe starting with you, Ksenia, what is your opinion from a governmental or public perspective? I think it's on automatically, and
okay, we're trying. Well, I would say that awareness exists, but it is still quite fragmented. Some ports already understand that digitalization is not a goal in itself, but it is a way to make your operation faster, more efficient, more transparent. Others still look at it as an IT upgrade or something that you need to do because it is required, not because it solves real problems. So what do we need here? We need here a purpose-driven approach. When we talk about purpose-driven approach, digitalization should always be linked to the process improving. Gate access, cargo records, reporting, or other key processes. It should be how to put it best way, it should be definitely linked to problem solving, not just to technology. It should be how to put it best way. I'm terribly sorry. So as I said, purpose-driven approach where the efficiency is the primary driver, not then the sustainability comes naturally. And when people see, when ports see that digitalization can reduce costs, save time, reduce administrative burdens, the awareness changes quickly. Yes, the awareness exists, but the key is to constantly demonstrate examples of good practices, benefits, and in that case, we can link digitalization always to problem solving, not to a technology for its own sake.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the answer, and I think it also gives the good continuation. How do you look at this awareness topic from a group of ports perspective, really from the field?
It is true what Ksenia was saying. Digitalization is very horizontal because as you digitalize, you can really touch upon different aspects in the way a port authority works. The key output is really the fact that as much as you digitalize, you can really increase your competitiveness. And also, accessorily, you also can improve your environmental footprints, your efficiency, and so on. To answer the question about the awareness, more in general, I think the awareness when it comes for Europa Port and our port ecosystem, awareness is quite high, sometimes even too high, and I will get back to that if we talk about the challenges. But it's also true that this awareness is quite fragmented among all the different entities that are part of the port ecosystem. Everyone has his own approach to digitalization, everybody has his own goals, objectives when it comes to how we want to increase digitalization, digital transformation. So this fragmentation can be quite of a problem. And then from the point of view of a quite peculiar port authority like Europa Port, which is 3 ports, and the biggest part is the maritime facade, so like the seaport. There's also at the same time a challenge and a tremendous opportunity because we also remark that digitalization moves faster when it comes to seaport for obvious reasons. The volumes of traffic, like the most obvious reasons, is that. And this can be actually quite of a challenge as well, because it means that you need to make sure that the river dimension is not left behind, but at the very same time an opportunity when you can integrate it.
Thank you very much for highlighting those topics, and we will come back to this very important topic between maritime and inland issues. Vladislav, how do you see that from a university perspective?
Yeah, if I say that I agree with both of them, I think it would be enough, you know. But still, yeah, I'm also based on our experience and the research that we have been conducting, you know, at our faculty and our university, we can say that I fully agree that awareness exists. Everybody's talking about digitalization, about digital tools. But I also, you know, but somehow, you know, when I was young, I used to play football, and I like sports terminology. So if I buy a gym, it will not make me fit, you know. So that's why if I buy a software, you know, it will not make me digital. I need to know my goal. So the awareness of purpose is something that you know. So we need to start with or to start with dealing with these aspects from the operational, perspective, to ask operational questions. What are our inefficiencies? What slows us down? And then to see how the data can make us can help us make better decisions. So this is something that, and after that we can talk about sensors. We can talk about mobile applications, etc. And I think this DMAT, or digital maturity assessment tool, are very good aspects and very good tools that can be helpful for these purposes. But on the other side, I would also like to put in the center of the whole story, to put the staff, to put the humans. So something like I don't know how to call it, but digital, humanism in ports. That is something that gets in importance here. I think even from this digitalization perspective. So it means it's a mindset. It's a philosophy that will focus, the port staff on what really matters in their everyday work, in their operation, but not just in everyday work, when making decisions at each level. So that's my, let's say, view on this topic.
Thank you very much for highlighting the human factor. I think that's very important, because behind every digital tool there has to still be a human, and the smartwatch is also connected to a human's arm. In this project you are still focusing on the environmental impacts, and it was a challenge to read digitalization in a way. What can it do for environmental aspects and measurements, and making it better? We have realized some barriers, some gaps, as Sasha mentioned, and listed them quite fastly. But what are barriers from your perspectives? Let's maybe then change the order. Let's start from Tommaso, from the ports perspective. Maybe you can also again highlight what's the difference between maritime and inland environments.
Or the common points, which is also quite interesting. So I won't mention fragmentation because this has already been mentioned. I would like to mention a barrier following up to what has been said about the human aspect, because it is true that one of the barriers when it comes to digitalization is the social acceptance to it. Digitalization, digital transformations entails a lot of changes in the way you do things, business models, etc. And this obviously needs to be accepted and taken by the most important entities of a port ecosystem, which are like people, like the people that work for the port. Social acceptance can be a barrier if all the groundworks about how you develop the skills, the knowledge about the new tools, the new instruments coming up, if this groundwork is not really carried out properly or with sufficient anticipations, then this digital transformation can be encountered with a lot of resistance and opposition. And I can give you an example when it comes to automation, for instance. This is something which is still quite complicated discussion in our port, but is even more complicated when it comes to the river dimension, the inland dimension, where automation is, we can say that is even more advanced when it comes to the applications compared to the maritime dimension. So that's perhaps a difference that we can highlight in our port. It's a very complicated discussions, like in the entire axis that we are working on, but it's particularly acute on the river dimension.
Academia that will not go last, so this time. Okay, so yeah, I also support what you have just said. It's as I mentioned, so it's not much about technology. Technology is there, so it's more about human upskilling. So and this is the major barrier from my perspective. And of course, another let's say maybe not so strong barrier, but something that came to my mind is a weak link between universities and the research community and let's say industry. Because this link can help a lot in overcoming all the barriers which we are talking about. So at least from my experience, I'm not sure how much ports are ready to do they have training programs for upskilling of their port staff in this digital knowledge, let's say, or in terms of data sharing or cybersecurity, or all aspects which are related to the required knowledge. And as I said, but on the other side, what do ports need? So I think port would like to get some testing areas where they can see how some digital tools work before they make investments into these risky investments maybe. So what would we need? What do we need? We need more living labs. We need, and this is the area where industry and academia can work together. Of course, with the authorities. So we cannot neglect that. Open source collaboration. So this is something that also is particularly from the Danube perspective, I believe is very important. So not to force ports to invest high amount of money into something that we can all work together. So so ports need to adapt, to adjust, they can take these some modular solutions which are already available and to adjust to their own needs. So these things can be improved, and I think the results will come out later. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe there are some barriers from your perspective.
Yes,
as well.
yes. From the Danube region perspective, I can see 4 main barriers: awareness, lack of planning, limited budgets, and institutional constraints. So let's start with awareness. Like I said, many ports still see digitalization as an IT upgrade, not as a way to solve their problems or operational and strategic improvement. Also, without planning and without strategy, the investment stream remain fragmented. So now we have ports that implement isolated solutions, partial solutions that do not communicate with each other, and there are no clear benefits from those solutions. Budgets are often tight, especially within the smaller ports. Yes, and institutional responsibilities are sometimes unclear. So what do we need to overcome this? We need capacity building. We also need a stronger communication about operational and sustainability benefits of digitalization, and tools like DMAT to help ports to identify their gaps and prioritize their investments. Also demonstrating return of investment through small pilots is also essential. And of course, finally, multi-port or regional projects are also support ports to reduce cost, to have better access to EU funding.
Thank you very much, and you already answered several of my questions which would be coming up. And looking at the time, I think that's actually a good one. Maybe I can combine some of the foreseen questions in a way that we all talked about cooperation, we all talked about ports, multi-ports. You already answered, and that could be a fast round of answers, but I will then extend the question. Do you see any chance and any benefit for teaming up, for not having fragmented solutions, but teaming up? Easy answer maybe from the Harvard Ports perspective, because you are already a group, but here I would like to learn more about the really parallel issues, and what have you learned from maritime to inland operations, and maybe to the other way around. So very much from the practice because not everyone needs to be and can be Port of Rotterdam or Port of Antwerp with drones flying over and moving everything automatically. What is your experience in this perspective and teaming up?
Our experience was that in the maritime sector, things were moving faster. There were lots of things in place already when Europa Port was created, integrating 2 maritime ports and 1 inland port area. So our work so far has been really to try to integrate our inland territorial division, the one in Paris, within the tools that have been developed already in the maritime dimension. This doesn't really go only for digitalization. It really goes only, for instance, for security. There are like practices, there are like protocols that already exist for the Port of Le Havre, for the Port of Rouen, sorry, in the maritime dimension. So the key thing is like, how can we really make sure that we can extend those protocols and practice also when it comes to Paris. And same thing with the digitalization. We have a port community system for the Port of Le Havre, we have a port community system for the Port of Rouen. We need to have one single port community system. It's going to be already quite a challenge to do it between Le Havre and Rouen, but we also need to do it also when it comes to Paris. So if we can really have a full integration of the entire axis. I made the example of security because we talk about digitalization, security, cyber security is really the perfect example. Europa Port is member of an association which is called France Maritime, which really has the France Cyber Maritime, which really has the task of developing best solutions when it comes to cybersecurity in the maritime sector. Maritime, but how can we make sure that this lesson learned in the maritime sector, we can also eventually then transpose it to the inland and river port dimension. So that's the work we are doing, and we see a lot of potential benefits of this integration because there is already a lot of work which has been done.
Thank you for that, and important to learn that even if you are already a group of companies, it's a challenge to integrate inside. Xenia, the Port Governance Agency, also oversees, obviously, all the ports in Serbia. It was mentioned that Serbia is doing very well with river information services. What are the next steps from the port perspective when it comes to teaming up or creating regional benefits and advancements?
First of all, I would like to say that joint efforts are often the best way forward, especially in the Danube region. When you have a group of ports and joint projects, then you reduce cost, then you are ensuring that all data and all digital tools are interoperable. EU projects are quite a good accelerator in that point. And when it comes to national level, the Port Governance Agency could host or coordinate or share platforms for all ports and harbors in Serbia. And as a matter of fact, we are currently working on that. We have now our small platform, ELIS, Integrated Port Information System, but we want to expand it. We want to make it more interactive, and we want to share a platform which has a broader significance for all port community in the Republic of Serbia.
Thank you. Vladislav, you oversee or you are dealing with transport and traffic all over, so expanding borders. What is your perspective or what is your recommendation when it comes to teaming up?
Yeah, you know, while I was preparing for this panel and everything, I was thinking about what could be innovative in our region, and what came to my mind is, for example, establishment of I don't know, digital hub for Danube, something like that, you know, and it could be kind of a collaborative platform where everybody, where ports and all the interested stakeholders, let's say, can work together on developing certain tools, on testing tools, on sharing data, on co-development of these, as I said, modular digital solutions. So this is something that could be very, very useful for our region, because I strongly believe that ports should not be just, you know, end users and, you know, passive users of these tools. They need to be involved in the process of development of these tools. So this is something that I would, you know, strongly recommend, because the right level of digitalization for each port, you know, depends on the value it can produce. So this is something what I would say that everybody could benefit from such kind of you know, platform that could be developed for our region. So everybody can work on it, adjust, find there, not to pay high amount of prices for the tools. Instead, we can all work on development of tools which are suited for our needs in the Danube region. So, yeah.
May I add one more thing?
Yes, of course.
I would like to add one more thing as a key message from this question, and I hope that you all agreed that if ports pool resources and work together, they can achieve far more than they could do individually.
Thank you. I think that's a very important message, and it seems that we were all reading the same script. Thank you, Sasha, for preparing that. And maybe last question from my side before giving the floor to the audience. And Vladislav, you already introduced the topic, but definitely there has to be a responsibility. So we should not always wait everything from the governments or from the EU funding or from the projects. What does the sector needs to know? And maybe this time I will start with you, Ksenia, because you finished perfectly the last set of thoughts. What is the responsibility, for example, of the sector in your perspective?
I'm really glad that you asked this question because, yeah, that's in the script. Thank you, Sasha. So ports have clear responsibilities. They need to prioritize their own investment. They need to define their priorities. They need to manage data properly, and they need to invest in staff skills. And these are all internal tasks which require leadership and ownership. And no policymaker, absolutely no policymaker, can do them on behalf of ports. But policymakers, in turn, also have responsibilities. They should create an enabling environment. They should provide clear framework. They should define standards, and also they should support ports in their cooperation and help them join different projects and help them to access all sorts of funds. Because, as we said, the budgets are pretty much limited, especially in small ports. So both sides have responsibilities. Ports must take initiative. Policymakers should provide support and structure. So when they are doing that together, when they share their responsibilities, digitalization can succeed.
Thank you. Tommaso, from your perspective.
I didn't read the script too much, Sasha, but I hope I'm pretty much not derailing the conversation. Yeah, on policy making, yeah, I think overregulation can be really detrimental sometimes to digitalization. We need a framework with clear rules, stable ones, long-term ones, but at the very same time we know that digitalization changes very much, so we need to have like something which gives you like long-term outlook, but it also can be flexible. It's a very complicated balance to find when it comes to a regulatory framework for digitalization. I think the best thing that a regulatory framework can do for ports, but in general for every sector when it comes to digital transformation, is to make sure that there is access to funding, of course, and a framework which is encouraging the pooling, therefore like collaborative research, public-private partnerships, so that eventually we can have these initiatives or like teaming up of different forces and working together. But I think, again, the possibility to really have access to funding and a framework that encourages collaboration through collaborative research and public-private partnership is the most important thing.
Thank you for that. Maybe before you get the mic, any questions from the audience?
Yes, I have. Regarding the digital transformation, we acknowledge that it's not only digitalization, that it's the technical part of the challenge. No, that there is the optimizing the process part. Probably is the one that is get most of the benefits. But here we have a human challenge because, okay, in the technical challenge we have interoperability and this kind of stuff. You know, we have technical solutions for that. But in the human part of the challenge, you mentioned something of that. No, you mentioned that there's a challenge to actually incorporate in the. But I understand that you were referring on the operational levels, on the tactical levels. No, I visualize a huge problem in the board of directors, and when you said that we need to digitalize, they understand that we need to digitalize the actual processes, and not to review and optimize all the processes. I think it's a kind of proud. No, I'm proud of the things that I build and the private process that I have. So I don't want to review it. So, do you have a comment, or any of you? Do you have a comment of this kind of challenge, this human challenge, this person challenge? Thank you.
I think that very much leads to the last input.
You're talking about like some sort of resistance to change from the management, so like a resistance of change from the cultural level, but coming really from the top. We didn't really experience that, I have to say. I see what you're talking about, obviously, but we didn't really experience that so far. Also, I think it has to do also with the specific characteristic of the port sector in France. I think the management is appointed by the government. They're going to stay there for a few years. Then it's a game of revolving doors. They would find some other public institutions to manage. They don't really feel they own it. But they obviously, at least when it comes to from the French perspective, they see what other European ports are doing. And there in Europe, you have CEOs appointed to ports that come from IT sectors, they can come from the microchip sector, so they have a different mentality. So there is also some sort of pressure, which is not really a resistance, actually it's quite the opposite. It's really a need to catch up. So the resistance that we face is really coming from the operational level, is the fact that it's very human. People are really afraid of change. People are afraid of losing their job. It's as simple as that, what we are experiencing so far. And as much as frustrating it is sometimes, I obviously fully respect that. And this is why I was mentioning it is really important that you accompany that as much as you can with investing in trainings, investing in skills, that you manage to, although it's very easy to make it from a perspective like mine, that you try to explain that when you optimize or digitalize, you can actually create new opportunities and jobs, but you really need to invest on skills, on trainings. You need to really accompany this transformation. Otherwise, the resistance that you encounter at your operational level, I'm done, it can be also stronger than the management level.
last sentence.
Just one comment on that question as well. So we also did some research which are related to our ports in Serbia, and I must say that our experience also was not something like that. So our port operators, managers with whom we were in contact, were very keen to go for these options. So this is because we were talking with them about digital twins and artificial intelligence, but they do not need that. In some cases, some really basic digital tools can make a difference. So this is a matter of how to say, of upskilling, as I said at the beginning, the knowledge of everybody who is involved in that process. So as I said, from our experience, people are ready to work on this in this process.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for the question, and thank you for your participation. To conclude, I think digitalization should not be for itself. From my experience, digitalization projects, more than half of the time is to review the process, and then you digitalize what you really need to have in your companies and organizations, and in that process you always need the human. So I think this can also be a good conclusion for the ports as well. Big round of applause. Thank you, Ksenia. Thank you, Vladislav. Thank you, Thomas. And thank you, Sasha, for preparing the reports and the panel, and I think back to Jasper.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you to the panelists from my side as well. It's always difficult on a conference to be the last panel, but I think you did an excellent job. So thanks again. Another task which yielded very interesting results, and especially the DMAT, the Digital Maturity Assessment tool. We have to think about how we will develop that and adopt that further towards the future. Then, finally, to close this conference, I'd like to give the floor to Manfred Seitz again to provide a few closing remarks on behalf of the Danube Commission Secretariat with regards to, let's say, what's in there for the future and where should these tools go. So please, Manfred.
Thank you very much, Jasper. Over these 2 days, I think you will agree we have witnessed intensive culmination of research, stakeholder engagement, collaborative development. And the study, the Green Inland Port study, has delivered not just analysis, but as we stressed a couple of times, many times I would like to say, actionable tools that can really transform how our inland ports operate, how they compete, and contribute to a sustainable environment. But tools, and that is also important to understand, tools, no matter how sophisticated they are only as effective as the commitment to use them is. And this was also coming out here clear in this panel. The human element we have to really put also into focus. And this is where the role of the platform which we have created, Danube Commission, this expert group for port and port operations becomes crucial, I think. And on behalf of the Danube Commission, I want to make here a clear commitment to you today that our expert group is ready to continue in pursuing the objectives of the Green Inland Port study within the Danube region, only within the Danube region. I apologize, our friends from the Rhine. We will certainly not allow by this that the valuable knowledge generated by the study just becoming, let's say, dust on virtual shelves now. Specifically, we will promote the adoption and the implementation of the environmental sustainable management system and the digital maturity, let's say, approach among the Danube ports, because this is really connecting to the joint statement on decarbonization of the Danube ports. We therefore will our expert group and connected activities, so we will also foresee and we plan also, as we did in the past, not only to have this 1.5 day expert group a year, but also to have then follow up special workshops, for example, with the related EU-funded projects. So we have done that, or with, let's say, another projects maybe commissioned by the European Commission again, when there is, let's say, ideas also with regard to implementation elements of the port strategy, for example, the Commission is now heavily working on. So this said, we will work to connect the Green Inland Port methodology with the other relevant initiatives. As I said, we have done it also. We have done it with the Synergy project, but there are many more projects, the Magpie, the Pioneer, and all those which are coming. So that's the good news again. Our friends from Western Europe will also be able to enjoy the hospitality of the people in the Danube region. So don't worry. And what is also to remind, and what is I cannot stress more enough, the decarbonization targets which we have commonly agreed in Europe, 55% emission reduction by 2030, net zero by 2050, are not abstract aspirations. Climate change is happening. Climate change needs our action, and I think there are concrete commitments that require not only action, they require systematic action. And the tools from the study give us the means to track also progress, identify priorities, and allocate resources effectively. I also would like to emphasize the importance of continued cooperation between the European Commission, international organizations like us, river commissions, port associations, and individual port authorities, operators. And I also learned to appreciate in the last 1.5 years also the strong cooperation of the Danube Commission with the DCT. So thank you very much, Elson, Timo. We will walk together, never walk alone. So that's also a good strategy for the Danube region. The transition to sustainable, digitalized, zero-emission ports cannot be achieved in isolation. I think that has to be clear to everybody. And we need policy alignment, not only policy commitment, but we need also alignment. And we need also financial support, technical expertise, and political commitment working in concert, I would like to say. And the studies team and all those who have contributed to this remarkable body of work, I would like to say thank you for your dedication, thank you for your expertise, and to the colleagues from the European Commission's DG Move, I would like to say thank you for your visions in commissioning this study and your continuous support for inland waterway transport. Please, Christian, please, Josep, bring it home. Your work is not only appreciated, it's desperately needed. And also, Christian, those which brought this study into life, Marta, Uk, and all those your colleagues, also deliver our gratitude. To all the participants here, thank you for your engagement, your insights, and your commitment to sustainable port development. The journey towards green inland ports is certainly a long one. Yeah? So I would rather say we are at the beginning, yeah? To be realistic. It's a challenging journey, but it is also necessary, and I think it's achievable. Yeah? It must be achieved. There's no way to not to achieve it. With the tools now at our disposal, with the platforms also, like we have built up the Danube Commission with the expert group, providing what is, I think, very important, institutional continuity, yeah? Because we have a lot of excellent EU-funded projects everywhere. The project comes to an end, and then, okay, it's gone. Yeah? And we restart. So that's why it is always important that there is an institutional continuity, an organization. An institution has to take up the results and bring that further, deliver then it together with all the other stakeholders. And with this dedication event in the room, I'm confident really that we will succeed. The Danube Commission, therefore, looks forward to continuing this important work with all of you. And the good news is also the date is already set when we continue. From our side, the expert group meeting for ports will be convened on the 22nd and 23rd of April 2026 in Ruže, Bulgaria. So we will this time not be in wonderful, lovely, beautiful Budapest, but we will go into the field, because we have received an invitation from the port of Ruže. And I think this is Ruže is the biggest inland port on the Danube, so it's a very interesting region economically also for inland waterway transportation, highly relevant. Yeah? So I remain to say that our waterways have connected people and cultures for thousands of years, and now they will help to connect us to a sustainable future. So thank you very much, and see you all, really all, yeah, please, on the 22nd, 23rd of April in Ruže, Bulgaria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manfred. Thank you for your important closing remarks. Again, thank you for the support that the Danube Commission provided over the course of the project and your continued support for development and adoption of tools and strategy developed as part of this project. I would then like to close. I'll quickly look at Christian, if you want to say a final word. No, were you good? Then we are fully closing off completely. But we're not closing off before I'd like to ask you for a final round of applause. 3 times. Not for me. The first one is for my colleagues from the events team. They have been supporting us fantastically over these 3 years of the project. Together, Luis is here, but also over the course of this project, other colleagues have supported. Without their professional support, all of these events that were organized over the course of the project would really not have been possible. So please, a round of applause for events. Then I'd like to thank you, Enrique, Peter, Martin. 1 year ago, we asked a question to you, whether we can organize the final conference here at ThinkPort. And I really think the preparations, but also this 2-day conference has showed that we really couldn't have picked a better location. So thanks a lot for your support. And then finally, it's for yourself, for coming here to Vienna, to joining us, to participating in the discussion, to be joining us yesterday on the cruise, and to be discussing where these tools should go towards the future. So really the largest round of applause for yourself, please.
And for you, for moderating so great.
Then I'd like to close off. I'd like to close off by saying that indeed, it has already been mentioned like 1,000 times, I think, over the course of this project. It should not be the end, but rather the beginning of a continued journey towards greening of inland ports. We recommend a joint action plan towards public and private sector. We included a couple of measures in a survey where you can also leave your contact details behind in case you're interested to be consulted further in the future. So we invite you to scan the QR codes, reply to the questions, but also again leave your contact details behind in case you're interested to be consulted further in the future. So I think these QR codes are also here on the tables. It's on the screen, so you definitely find one that you can use. Thanks again from my side. Thanks for participating. There are lunch boxes available. So depending on your plans, you can either take the box and take it with you, or you can stay here and enjoy the lunch at Vinkport. One of the two options. It's really up to you. Thanks again, and have a safe trip home.